time for the shop report with
Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report special presentation of the Turnbuckle. I, of course, am your host, none other than Creative Control J, Double J, what your mama say. And I have a ton to get into, but first order of business is announcing the guy to my left, your right, none other than D Gully from the CO Lumbus.
We are back again, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to the Turnbuckle. We're going to get right to it, man.
Absolutely. There's a ton to get into. And before we dive into this evening's Raw and all of the crazy things that are going on, we start appropriately with this here out of the AEW space. And that, of course, is Hangman Page.
All right. House is burning.
That's right. The house is burning. The roof is on fire. And you may or may not need water. So for those that don't remember or are unfamiliar, why I'm bringing this to your attention is, of course, he is burning what is supposed to be the childhood home of course, his opponent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, we live in a little bit of a different era and have a little bit of a different attitude as a whole.
Right.
The reason I'm bringing this to your attention is because of the outcry publicly from the wrestling universe. And so what I wanted to do is get your thoughts on it, because we came from an era, a different one.
Yeah, we came from the attitude era.
That's right. And so how do you feel about something like this in nature? Is it, do you feel like the outcry was warranted, or are you putting the fire out on that argument altogether?
Well, there are how many movies, sitcoms, TV, sitcoms, dramas, movies where abuse, domestic abuse, and domestic trauma is at the crux of a plot. And those stories or those movies or whatever they are, the stories that are being told are for entertainment, if not for the social commentary. Right. So I don't see how this is any different. The question is, like I said, how much out of the squared circle are we going to go? Right. Does it work for wrestling is the key. For me, I don't know. You know, I think, pardon me for being a hypocrite, of course, because we got the YX6 in WWE and we got angles like this in AEW. I don't know how much of this exists in IWGP or whatnot, or across the world in terms of their professional wrestling. But this is what we do. We like theater, right? It's performance theater. So the question for me is, does it work or not? Does the angle work or not? I'm a bit mid on it. I can't be okay with it in WWE, but then think it's corny in AEW. So Does it work overall or not? I guess I'm still out on that, but I'm not going to be overly critical of it. Even though generally I'm not, I got a low tolerance for getting so far out the way of wrestling when it comes to angles. But the idea of the subject matter or where the direction they're taking is no different than, I mean, you look at the top 10 dramas on TV right now, right? Power Book 2 Ghost is about to return for the second half of its final season. So how many people who are fans of the Power universe somehow taking issue to what we see here playing out in professional wrestling? It's just a matter of, do we need this in wrestling?
It is interesting that you say it that way, because that has been long a subject of conversation or topic of conversation for us on this P program.
Yeah.
For pretty much it's our entire like existence.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about, I joke and call you D Cornet. You're typically on one side of this thing, but why I'm pointing that out and these images specifically is because we have seen this before. Right. I have the Randy Orton one, or had it up at one point in time. Like, this isn't brand new to us.
No.
So obviously, like the bit between Hangman and Swerve Strickland, fantastic. I mean, great for what it's worth. But speaking of fire and setting it off, Tony Khan is in the news for saying that there's going to be a earth-changing signing that comes to AEW. Is Shane O'Mac about to be all elite?
Who else could move the earth if he wanted to make that statement true? And obviously it's an opinion, but for that statement to be truth, what signing in professional wrestling would make that statement true? What signing would qualify? Right? Let's think about it. Let's posit some. What signings could qualify as an earth-changing, earth-moving, earth-shaking, whatever signing? It would be like, okay, I don't know. Let's say a John Cena decides to sign. Brock Lesnar signs. Those would be earth-changing, right? Who else? AJ Styles. Ends his contract. He's an earth-changing signing. Who else foots the bill?
That's kind of my issue with leaving it to a single superstar. We know who it won't be, which is Bret the Hitman Hart. If they get Goldberg,
Bill Goldberg.
if they get Goldberg, that's not going to move the needle. Not like that. Not on the Richter scale.
No. So I would say Shane McMahon would be an earth-changing signing. It would change the dynamic of, and we talked about it across several shows, about what the impact of a Shane McMahon would be to the AEW and to the competitive balance of AEW compared to WWE. But that's about the biggest earth-changing signing I would imagine that you could have right now. I don't know of anybody else who could make that statement true. I don't know of anybody. Am I missing anybody? The Rock, right? The Rock would be, but no, it would be probably someone with a significant creative direction, which we trust Shane McMahon to have, right? To see a bigger picture, to see a product development, right? Not just a single talent that could be signed, but someone that would manage loads of talent and then put together and build a better product. And I'm getting stumbly over here today. I got to drink some more of my energy drink, but Shane McMahon.
I think you're right. Again, this was during the All Out post show media scrum. He simply said that when he was asked about the AEW Shockwave trademark for the purpose of entertainment in the nature of wrestling contests, but he said AEW is set to create a shockwave throughout all of wrestling. That is the
Are they
direct
signing
quote.
the Shockmaster?
Oh, not that again. But anyway, moving right along. In our first, tell me you did not just say that. It comes from none other than Val Venis. Coincidentally, a name that I had simply brought up a while ago, or not that long ago, and then here he is, which is fantastic. So again, he's replying or retweeting to what WrestleOps had to say, which is heading towards a Gunther Sami Zayn for the heavyweight championship. And as you can see here, his direct quote is, both of these guys would have been fighting over who would carry my bags in the Attitude Era. You have had some mixed feelings on one Gunther.
I have. And the big Valboski.
Pause.
The big Valboski, right? Yeah. You know what? I wasn't a big fan of Val Venis at the time. Maybe because for me, when I'm watching professional wrestling, I wasn't there for the sex appeal and the euphemisms. I wasn't there for that, even as a kid. So his whole angle and his gimmick was kind of cool, but I really didn't vibe with him. I know he had a nice run as a European champion. He was an Intercontinental champion. He was an IC champion as well, right? I know he was a European champion. And actually, he's probably most well known to me as the European champion. So because I really wasn't a fan of the whole sex appeal gimmicks, whether it came from like men and the euphemisms or the ladies and the TNA that they showed, I may not have given him as much attention on the screen on his wrestling abilities and his matches. So I'm revisiting those. And I would have to say, I think it'd be competitive. That's a triple threat match I wouldn't mind seeing. And you know how I feel about triple threat matches. Not for a title, of course. Not for a title. But to see the three of those guys mix it up in a match, what that would be like. What do you think? I mean, because he goes there, they would be fighting over who to carry my bags. I mean, he feels like he's that much far and away from, his talent level is that much superior to Gunther or Sami Zayn. I don't know.
So let's see. He does have a 53 to 48%, or sorry, 53 to 46% with some decimals in there, folks. In terms of PLE win percentage.
Okay. He's won over 50.
However, he actually has a winning record in both WWE/WWF.
All right. So
I mean, not by much, but hey, he did better in the F era than the E.
Sure, but because in the E he was part of what they call Truth Commission? What was the group? No, not Truth Commission. What was the group with Steven Richards?
That's what I'm
Oh,
looking at.
RTC, right to
Yes,
censor.
that's right.
Yeah, right to censor.
His last was in he lost to Umaga, RIP, in 2008 on a Raw, and then did a Heat taping in 2008, and he lost there.
Wow.
And it's who he lost to. Well, you know what? Nope. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna just keep that for later.
You got one. You got one for today as well.
I sure do.
All right, cool. Because I'm 2-1, right? I'm 2-1, right?
You know, that's right. Well, I mean, was it Paul that got last week's?
I think Paul got last week's.
I mean, it was like kind of like throwing an alley-oop there. It was kind of an assist in a
yeah.
There was an assist involved, but nevertheless, that was fantastic, by the way. And so, with that being said, before I go to the next one, we're gonna take our
let's take a break. If you're about to go to where I think you're about to go, come on. You did not just say that.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's get some sponsorship out the way, man. I got a load on this. I got a cool.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I'd come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
And just like that, we are back. And you might be saying, why didn't I change it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Hulkster is running wild again.
Man.
He was on Logan Paul's podcast, and ultimately he had this to say, which is Chris Benoit can do all the crap he did, and the fans still love him.
No. The fans don't love him. We have an unfortunate sore spot for him because he was a great talent. But there are certain things that you can't conspire away. There are certain beloved figures in our culture that the unfortunate events in their lives have a level of conspiracy behind them that people choose to question whether they actually have done what they're claimed to have done, even to the point of conviction, right? There are certain people where despite a conviction or lack thereof, there's a belief whether they did or didn't do something. It's unequivocal when it comes to Chris Benoit. We know what he did. Despite everything I like about him as a wrestler, right? That Hall of Fame legacy, even if it was CTE or not, you can't dismiss what he did. Ending his own life doesn't matter to me. Murdering his son and his wife, that's horrible. People, your biggest fans. in whatever circumstance you're under, right? That's horrible. And you can't dismiss it. So it's hard to watch a Chris Benoit match as beautiful as that match may have been or may be, as much as those matches may hold up. It's hard to watch it because behind the camera, you know what happens. That is not at all the case for Terry Bollea. Okay. Terry, this is the first part, right? No, fans don't love him still. A lot of fans feel the same way I do. It's hard to we respect that, but we can't it's hard to look at it because we know what happens behind there. You, on the other hand, it sounded like you had one black friend, and that was Mr. T. And everybody else, and he gave you your pass. Okay. Oh no, and say some more, right? What else did he say in recent weeks?
Oh,
right. What else did he say?
Well, you know what? I will actually grab the entire clip because obviously he's been promoting his beverage.
Sorry, beverage. That probably tastes like dirt. Never mind.
He also said he believes that Triple H should make Logan Paul a champion.
And he also said people want to see him body slam Kamala Harris. And he also said, what else did he also say? He also said that him and Savage buried the hatchet before Savage passed. I don't know.
Oh my.
I mean, he's also said a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of also saids. And he also only had 6 moves.
Well, that's right. I mean, he's acknowledged that, and not as any defense of his, but he certainly has acknowledged that he pretty much took that one guy's career and ran with it. And I would have to go back and remember exactly who that wrestler was. But I mean, if you were to go and look at the entire kind of gimmick, that was it. What do we got, Gully?
Oh, you can see it, man. Come on, it's a company I worked at.
Oh, okay. All right. Ham.
Dunder Mifflin. No. I used to say that, man. Yeah, I used to say that to people, random people who I didn't think if they knew the show. I would say, yeah, I worked in IT for a couple years. Yeah. They're like, oh, really? Yeah. So, yeah, they make great paper. You know.
Did they ever have? That's the thing. In all of the episodes, it could have worked.
Yeah, an IT department.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would have been just my niche too, man. That would have been that would have been great. The IT guy comes in, never knows
Who's
anything.
That
Yeah. There's plenty to work with when it comes to that.
I mean, think about it. Oscar, everyone would have been, kind of, just perplexed quietly, independently. And then kind of around that lunchtime, halfway, through the day, that's when they're kind of conspiring, like, who brought them in? Is that corporate?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Did you find that about Hogan?
Which one?
Pick one. It's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em.
Let's see. So I know I've done a valiant effort of posting quite a few in.
Let's just talk about it. Creative control Hogan.
Oh, okay.
Right. He had creative control and he almost never used it.
Wow. Oh my.
He almost never used creative control. So it was Kevin Nash's big idea for the finger poke of doom. Kevin Nash thought that would work.
Bash at the Beach 2000.
That's the free space in the bingo card of BS from Hogan. Bash at the Beach 2000. and that's the thing, right? Because who was supposed to go over that night?
Booker T.
Exactly. Jeff Jarrett had no problem doing the job for Booker T. Somebody didn't.
Here we go. Let's see.
Right. And I'm saying it like I was there. You know, I was just a fan, but still, if we talk about he
said something about your boy. He's Bret Hart. Bret hates everybody.
Okay, there's a what they call a modicum of truth to that. Bret does have anger issues. I don't.
Now here you go.
No, I'm serious because you know what? Before Scott Hall passed, like Scott Hall kind of mentioned it too. Bret Hart has a right, I think, from a lot of people, a lot of fans, the smart marks, down to the pure fans, if they hear a story, there is some empathy you have for where he was positioned and what happened during his career. For him to be a little bit angry or upset at the way things transpired about his career. Since he's retired, yeah, you have a right to your opinion, but it sounds like you're just as angry as if it happened, as if it's happening right now when it's already happened. And that's the part that people are having a hard time with. Like,
oh man, I just found what he said about Kamala Harris.
Yeah, bro. They make great paper. Yes, they do. Dunder Mifflin. We make great paper. Right. So for Bret Hart, you know, seeing the way he respected the business, had a respect for the business and the company, and he felt like he was still talented enough to lead the company when they transitioned to other superstars, knowing that one superstar in particular was pretty, at odds with him and wouldn't do favors for him that he would do for the company. He wouldn't do, he would do the job for the sake of the company, but that person likewise wouldn't do the job. And they still ran with that guy to then lose the title in the fashion that he did, to leave the company and to get misused the way they did. Partly actually being kind of like foretold, from a guy that you already have a problem with, like Vince McMahon. For Vince to kind of tell you this, even though he doing you shit dirty, for Vince to tell you that, hey, they don't know what to do with a Bret Hart into it, and it to show and it to play out that way. To losing your brother in the fashion that you did, losing your career in the fashion that you did, yes, it definitely makes for some resentment there. And I think some of that bleeds over still because he never really got a chance to kind of make that right. He did have that match versus Vince McMahon. I think he laid some shots into him for sure. He got a little bit of the get back, but I think overall, you want your legacy he would have liked for his legacy, for his career to have ended much differently than it did. And I don't think he ever got over that. I think that still bothers him in a way.
Right.
And so that's where I think that's where that's where the bitterness that's where it sounds like, or appears to be, a bit of bitterness in him, because he still speaks with that fervor about those things, even now, even all these years later. But I mean, he's still like one of, if not my first favorite wrestler. He made it believable. Professional wrestling, if it was non-scripted, I'd put Bret Hart and Mankind in a steel cage, and I tell people, tell me that's fake. I put those two into the ring, and then you tell me this fake.
I actually seen something on that said anyone that does say it's fake, put them in a sharpshooter and see.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Even Kevin Nash should tell you that. He said, man, Bret, if he wanted to, he can really lay that thing in you. He can really lay it to you when he does that.
Now, of course, Bret himself is going to be on and has been on this evening's Raw.
Oh, yeah.
And I will get into some comments made not by him, but by someone else, a current superstar, which will not be featured on this particular segment of the show. But as it pertains to Bret Hart and Vince McMahon, that Netflix documentary that I referenced in last week's show has been quoted as a double shovel of a burial of Vince. Your thoughts?
Yeah, timing is everything. See, and that's where I'm kind of wondering about this. Like the Vince McMahon saga, it isn't over, right? He still has yet to face trial or for him to be formally charged, if I'm not mistaken, with the alleged behavior that influenced his ouster from the company, right? So that process is still ongoing. So to me, I think it appears in some cases like this is helping to make the case against him, because you have this documentary about this behavior. It's not going to paint him neutrally. I think this is about the monster behind the man. And that's what it looks to be. Right? So do I want them to protect his identity? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that typically a story like this, a complete story about him, you'll find out after everything has been resolved. And usually when you find stuff out like this, it's adding on, and who's to say if what we find out here won't be debunked in later time. I don't know that it will be, but I'm just saying it's still the narrative that they're writing his summary on is still being written. You see what I'm saying? His obituary professionally is being broadcast while he ain't even dead yet, in the sense, professionally. Unless they know something that we don't.
Good point. And honestly, that's where, well, you know what? Just lastly, it'll be interesting to see who makes guest appearances on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is your daily reminder that there is yet another cousin in the bloodline.
Wow.
Yeah, this is not make-believe. This is a real picture. And she's a volleyball player, a collegiate volleyball player. And to the surprise of none of us, WWE is interested in signing her.
For sure. Why not? Why not? You have a bevy of talent with bloodline ties to the business. That means they are coachable in the business. They're trainable in the business. This is a garden. This is a garden of nurturing talent that can become superstars. I like it. Whether they will or not, it's purely up to, I don't necessarily think it's up to them, in the sense that I think they can be ready for it. It's a matter of will they be positioned properly to do it by the actual caretakers of the garden. Like, you have this great crop. Do you know how to nourish it properly? We've given you great seeds. You get a plot of land that's already healthy and vibrant. Do you know how to garden? Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, if I talk about Solo Sikoa's booking, this is the problem I have with him. I don't think he's ready yet. but I want to like him, but they put him in a position that I don't think he's prepared for yet. He ain't done yet. He ain't developed yet. He don't seem formidable yet to me. But you got him in that main event spot. You had him there at least before I think they figured out that maybe, you know, they need to rethink the direction or retool and repackage and build him up so that way he can take that spot here in the near future. That being said, what we have here again with the Samoan dynasty, that is ready-made talent that have a thirst and have an understanding and enthusiasm for the business. Why not?
Well, again, if you play in the Big East I think she goes to Georgetown, and so obviously, you know, the intelligence is there as well. You have to be athletic, right? That's one half of this thing, and obviously intelligence is another. Is she going to be green? You know, who knows? But she's got a heck of a dream of amount of people to work with her. So it'll be interesting, but it's not, from the sounds of it, then the end of the feud, not even close.
No,
because new characters are still emerging, and it makes me wonder what else is there to do on Island Time. And with that, we'll be back.
It's Kate Cunningham, you watching the Shop Report. I'm Homie Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Edwards from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Howard Johnson. You're watching the Shop Report.
All right, and just like that, we are back. And, you know, it wasn't quite good enough to completely make the Tell Me You Did Not Just Say That segment, but it has been now formally announced that Raw will be going to 2 hours beginning October 7th, which, as you see in this logo here, that means on the USA Network. Is this the Undertaker's? Is this Mark Calloway's? Like, was that his final victim?
No, not at all. I think he has influence. I think they're going to try it out. But the problem is for me, and I don't know because I'm on the one side of it, I'm a viewer. I don't know how they can find out if 2 hours on USA is enough data for them to surmise how it would perform 2 hours on Netflix. Are there going to be PLE style advertisement in the Netflix product, or will it be like cable television style advertisements in the Netflix product? Like, I don't know how it's going to be presented. That being said, because of that, them trying it, will it tell them about the direction they should take on Netflix? I'd like it for it to be 2 hours, because I'm thinking that you would get actual more screen time, more content, because you don't have as many advertisements on Netflix, presumably, than you would on USA. You don't have to have as many sponsors to carry the show.
My thing is this: with implementing it obviously the Netflix thing made complete sense if you were going to be ad free, essentially.
Okay.
We've seen certain Raws that had 5 matches.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts to get kind of complex because again, I always reference the issue that Eric Bischoff faced or challenged with having 2 shows, even if they, again, he had the budget, but he didn't have the talent. We know they have the talent.
Right.
At least I've made the case that there was so much talent that even despite a 3-hour program and a second show, they weren't able to really get the mid card, as you've coined it. And,
glad you understand. Now you see.
To those, like, they weren't able to really give those guys enough of a push.
Mm-hmm.
And if the push occurred, it became kind of obvious unless an injury occurred.
Right.
And typically it was real at that point. It was, and so with that being said, I have a lot of concerns about going back, now that it's official that this is the format. It typically, even just from the advertising side, right? Like you going to a network and saying, we're going to cut our show and our agreement by an hour. It's like, what? it is
right.
Like, that's typically not going to work.
Right.
That's where the whole rev share and like the whole deal is built off of selling spots during that time.
Right.
And so you have creative issues.
Yep.
You have advertising issues.
Right.
Because again, we're talking about like a ripple effect that is basically not going to work for anybody. So my challenge,
not gonna work for anybody. What you mean?
Well, look, it doesn't. It may work for the fan, right? A lot of people felt like a 3-hour show was too long.
Right.
It's going to force us to start at 9, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, earlier. What are we going to do?
Right.
But instead, for everybody else that's affiliated with this, we unfortunately have seen 2 people get trimmed off this roster already. One thrown in the miscellaneous, one thrown in the alumni. And I honestly, neither had really any reason. For those unaware, it was Kiana James, and then also the New Day guy. The New Day guy, before Big E was supposedly set to return within a certain amount of time.
Right.
He's gone. So like that whole heel turn from Xavier Woods, like kind of just went out the window.
Right.
Or at least delayed.
Yeah.
So now I what am I supposed to do with all these people? We talk about NXT often. The Street Profits are over there.
Yep.
They'll be actually going against, I believe, the tag team champions tomorrow night. But I'm looking at this kind of strategically. And I'm saying to myself, this feels very much like preseason NFL week 4, or arguably week 3, certainly, but by week 4, historically, where I have 72 and I need this thing down to 58.
Yep. 53. Yeah. Oh, 72 to 58, then it's 53. Gotcha.
Right. And then ultimately down to 53. And unfortunately, a practice squad for us either is some combination of people on, and that's the problem with NXT now. Because now you can't really be green. Like the whole premise of NXT has to change.
No, it doesn't.
Dude, you can't throw green people out there anymore. Now
on NXT,
yes, you can't use it for what it was originally intended under these circumstances, because now you have, you just cut not the salary cap, you cut the roster space.
Okay.
You're telling me right now with the entire group of individuals, unless this is Tony Khan's Shockwave, everybody's all elite, you know?
Yeah. Right.
I'm looking at this like right now, live.
Yep.
We have, who is this? The Olive Garden. While Pete Dunne is seeing how far Yeet's fingers can bend. And Duncan. Okay. So that's where we're at already. Don't get me wrong. I've always argued that this should have been the case universally across all of sports because of what the Premier League and soccer games have shown us, like in NASCAR, even to some extent, where they rarely cut to full screen commercials, that it should kind of just be picture in picture and it gets the job done, serves its purpose. I could see them doing that on Netflix. That concept works, but it still does not change the duration of the program. And the problem that you have, like, either you're going to have every week the most action-packed program ever conceived,
right?
Or it's going to be consistent to what we know, which is occasionally there are 5 matches.
5 matches, lots of drama, hocus pocus, backstage, Daddy Dom on the couch. Yeah.
So what does that do for me? Where does that leave me, right?
It leaves you, it preserves truly talented matches for the PLEs. It does allow for better matches. I think more emphasis on matches, of course, at the house shows, at the live events, right? And
that should be a tell me you did not just say that. You did not just say
why? Yeah, you're cutting an hour, right? Like, think about it. We just talked about it. You're cutting an hour from programming. So that means that there's going to be they're certainly not going to do less talking, only by function of it being less of an hour. So non-action is going to take up a greater percentage of the overall product. So where are you going to get matches to develop? Got to do them at the live events. So live events should have more action. Live events should have more matches. Then the premium live events, that's where the challenge is going to be. Do those matches at the PLEs continue to live up to the bargain, right? If they don't have screen time on Raw, if you're cutting screen time on Raw, then the emphasis is you still got to deliver at the PLEs. It can happen, sometimes, pressure doesn't always, with pressure, things can thrive. With pressure, certain talent can thrive. And there may be a little bit of pressure because you have less you have less opportunity in front of a live audience with the camera.
I thought I needed medical attention. I can't believe what I just heard from you.
Why is that?
Because in our infancy, on this program's infancy, I once stated, bring back the significance to house shows.
Now, when you say bring back the significance to house shows, what do you mean by that?
I told you I had seen Bray Wyatt at a house show.
Yeah, I remember you said that, right?
And, again, you don't know what you have until it's gone. But
what did I say contrary to that? How was I
like there because the lights weren't on, because these were dark matches, that it couldn't have a significant impact or carryover into the actual main program.
Now, if I said that, my
there's clips out there. You're just gonna have
So
to scroll
so
a little
no,
bit.
wait, yeah. So yeah, if I said that, then you know, part of me, because I can grow, because I mean I do have a different opinion. I'll stand on I'll stand corrected for sure. I'll stand corrected for sure. But this is exactly what my thought is now. If you're going to remove the screen time from the live events, right? The live, I mean, from Raw, then the live events are going to become more important, and they will be. I just don't want to see titles change like Bob Backlund. That's all. I don't want to miss something significant.
Well, and now you have me kind of flip-flopping as well about it.
See, look at that. There you go.
My thoughts were not about maybe a title exchanging hands. You know, again, saving that for the casual fan, right?
Okay.
If I were to give it a NASCAR thing kind of tie-in, I would say the Cup Series watcher, but not Xfinity or truck. So you don't really watch. They're certainly not dirt tracks either, for that matter. So you don't ever really see kind of any progression from an individual. And so, but when they're at the top, that is televised for all to see.
Right.
However, what I don't want to see either is something pointless, right? When I keep referencing Cody Rhodes' title run, a lot of those matches have been at house shows.
Hey man, I want to see a list of Cody Rhodes house shows this year. Like, I know somebody's got it. It's got to be out there on the webs.
Oh no, it's there. It's there. I was looking at it a week ago.
Okay. Let's see. Cody Rhodes.
Now, I would say you got Pro Fight Database. And there's a couple others out there.
Oh, I thought I had it with Reddit.
So here's what I have here. And what you're going to see is on different days.
Can you bring it up? Oh, you got it.
Yeah. So again, let's go back to, okay, so here's Mania, right? Now, this is what I was talking about. When I said, oh, well, he's beaten Shinsuke Nakamura. So technically he had like 4, right? Before the Carmelo Hayes thing.
Yeah.
But now look, these are non-televised shows. Not all of them are.
Right.
WWE Live. There's a SmackDown.
Okay.
And European Tour. But again, he beat poor Shinsuke.
Right, but this peels back. See, live events peels back the curtains of the business, right? This is to let you know, okay, he's doing a program with Shinsuke to get him, you know, they're gonna work matches. I'm willing to bet how many of those matches have we seen on television? How many times have we seen? Okay, so we got the SmackDown on May 3rd.
Well, is Superstar still a thing? Do you remember that? Saturday mornings?
Yeah, I do.
So that's when you would get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Or at least that would be the closest that comes to mind for me.
Right.
But outside of that, dude, we had the only reason I even really knew that was because I think through like just the interweb of circle that I was already in with this stuff.
Okay.
That I knew that was going on, that, like you said, that particular program with those two. And people actually having to come to his defense for him kind of going MIA as a champion, or at least appearing like he was MIA. Because again, from a just live televised event, you had a SmackDown match against Dominic Mysterio.
Right.
And then you got well, wait a minute. None of those Shinsuke's were live?
No, one of them was May 1st.
Or one of them was
May 1st. No, not May 1st. May 3rd. May 3rd. May 3rd. Oh, it was a dark match, so it didn't air on the television. But it was it was at the Raw taping.
Dude.
I want to know what that match was like.
There's been a few, right? Like a few dark matches that you've heard about.
Yeah.
That like there's only like a single picture.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're legendary though.
Yeah, I remember when Sting was working his way back before Starrcade 97. I remember telling people I went to go see WCW live, and Sting wrestled Bret Hart, and he won, and no one believed me. Nobody whatsoever believed me whatsoever. I'm like, yes, he did wrestle. He came back and he beat Bret Hart, and like nobody believed me. Nobody. And I'm like, nobody believed me. Like I was there, I had tickets and everything. And I go, but you know what? I gotta actually make sure I got my timeline correct. No, because I was not in high school. I was in grade school. Yeah, it was 8th grade.
You're trying to find this thing.
Yeah, so I gotta find. So I'm looking. I'm finding it because nobody believed me, and it happened. And I'll be sounding like Linda Hamilton, the Terminator 2, before they cut off the screen. It happened. It happened. Yeah, but yeah. So those dark matches, they can make non-believers out of people and make you look crazy.
So this is before Halloween Havoc, you said?
Yeah, he had come because I didn't understand how wrestling really worked back then. So of course, to get him ready for Starrcade, Starrcade wasn't his first match. Like it makes sense to me now, but I didn't know this back then. So Starrcade was the first match that you would have seen Sting wrestle in quite some time, in about a year. But just like we see all of these Shinsuke Nakamura matches versus Cody Rhodes, on the road, Sting got to get ring rust out. Mm-hmm. So he would have to be, if you understand now, being an adult now, or even being an adult, understanding how things work, you got to train yourself back up, right? You referenced preseason for the NFL. You got to get some reps in so that Starrcade 97 isn't your first match in literally 10 months. So the idea of him wrestling Bret Hart would have made sense to me. And if I was dealing with people who knew or who cared about wrestling as much as I did, they would have probably believed it, but nobody believed it because they didn't see it because it wasn't on their TV. And yeah, that's what happened, man. He wrestled Bret Hart. I was like, oh, this is a great match. I was going to see the Scorpion Deathlock versus the Sharpshooter.
So this would have been at least 1998, correct?
97 to 98. Yep. It would have been somewhere. And Sting got the victory over Bret. And that kind of was like that kind of.
I'm in.
Oh, you digging?
I'm digging as we speak.
Yep, and it was in. You can even search for it, Cleveland, Ohio. Because I was at we were at the Gund Arena, or no, we were at the CSU Convocation Center.
Malice at the Palace. Still Malice April. Slamboree 98. Thunder taping in June. That's Scott Hall in July. He draws Hogan.
He draw versus Hogan. What?
Dude, I can't make it up. Like, hey, no, I didn't use my creative control card at all. You know how infrequent you see a draw?
Right.
No contest?
And it's a dark match, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted. Listen, right, but you know, hold on. Now, in Hogan's defense, okay, no. Here's Hogan could be defended if he wasn't just outright lying. But yes, you don't want to have the idea of Hogan being able to lose. So you don't even want to put that around in the dirt sheets. So
no, but wait a minute, Golly. October 19th, 1998, Bret Hart defeats Sting. And it says Nitro.
Where?
It says Minneapolis, dude.
That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't the one I'm talking about. Because it was certainly, yeah, Nitro was always live. So it wasn't Nitro. It was CSU Convocation Center. And it was a dark match because people didn't believe that Sting had come back yet.
The Thunder taping was in New Mexico 3 days later.
Okay.
How close to Halloween Havoc was it? Because that was in MGM Grand in Vegas.
Not sure. It was Columbus. I mean, it was Cleveland, Ohio. See if you can find anything relative to Cleveland, Ohio. Let's see. Let's do our digging at the same time.
House show results February 7th from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Does it sound like this? All right, you tell me. Kidman over Juventud.
Mm-hmm.
And Rey Mysterio, Ric Flair, Stevie McMichael, and Chris Benoit over Bryan Adams, Horace, and Stevie Ray with Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
DDP over Kurt Hennig.
Was Brett on that card? That I remember. Ernest the Cat Miller was on there. Was he on that show?
Yes, Ernest the Cat Miller over Jerry Flynn.
Okay.
And then Norman Smiley and Super Kahlo over Damien.
Okay. And because it was the main event.
No, match 7 was Goldberg and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Mm-hmm.
Sting over Bret the Hitman Hart by pinfall after a Scorpion Death Drop in a non-title match.
Yes. People never believe me.
Bam. Here you go.
When was it?
Send you that link, dude.
When was it? 98?
Oh, this says 2799.
2799. Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah. No, but so I was in high school then. Bro, that's how old I was, man. But that was the match. That was the card. Wow. How about that?
Now, does this sound right? Because this was my first time at a live event, so forgive me, guys that they advertised before but did not show up are Nash Luger, Arn Anderson, Conan, and Saturn, and Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Well, and we've seen that even like more recently with CM Punk being featured, and he was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, you found the same link. Okay, I found the same link you did.
Good deal.
Yeah, but that was it. People never believed me when I said that. He never believed me.
Wow. So there you go. There's living proof that Gully's not full of it. He knows what he saw.
What I saw. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Now back to Cody, on the other hand. He's not going to get out of this that easy. Some more house shows for Cody. And then, of course, we finally get to King and Queen of the Ring. And then more, again, super shows. There's a Clash at the Castle. SmackDown. Super Show. More Shinsuke.
Mm-hmm.
There's Money in the Bank. Super Show. Summer Tour. Are you sensing a trend here? How many more times can he beat AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura?
They are good matches. Apparently, they get great pop. Apparently, they are entertaining. Apparently, I'd like it to be for a. I like it to move the needle. I like it to be for a narrative. It would have been great for Cody and AJ to have a generational type feud back and forth for the title. You know, Triple H.
Well, based on what I'm looking at here, I mean, they did. I mean, look how many times, like, between, like, his biggest opponent is AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Right.
That's kind of my problem with this whole title run itself.
So this is
look
what
at these opponents, and you tell me where this ranks generationally.
Oh, this is better than what they gave us on TV. I mean, understand the problem is you'll have the redundancy, because remember, these are live events. This is the tour that goes on the shows everywhere. But if you're telling me, okay, if you scroll down this list.
Oh, I'm going to.
All right, go. All right, stay here. Stay here. Stay here. Stay here.
Right,
stay at the 31st. Go to the 31st, the most recent match.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
All right. So we've got Kevin Owens. Let's look at the live events rather, right? Not the premium. So who we didn't see on TV.
That's right.
We got AJ Styles a lot. Scrolling on. That's SmackDown.
There's a couple solos in there.
Solo, okay. Super Show. Shinsuke, AJ, Escobar. Solo, AJ, Logan Paul.
No, that was PLE.
Yeah, that was a PLE, I know. And so imagine if he had a feud with Shinsuke.
He did.
That's what I'm saying. What if that could have played out live on TV?
It did. Dude, his very first. Where is it? Where is the? Hang on a second.
So, no, I thought we saw it SmackDown May 3rd. But it was a dark match. It didn't show up on TV.
That's right. It was a dark match. My goodness. I'm like, but he did have a feud with him. Like, look how many times. Dude, he's wrestled 5 guys.
No, wait. Scroll up. Go all the way up to this list. All the way up.
That's it?
No, all the way up to the top of the page.
Oh.
Wherever you source this, and great job, shout out to whomever the source is for compiling this.
Yeah, if they would have done that with the WCW stuff, it would have been a lot easier. That was a lot harder.
All right, so give me a run of
oh, you want a side-by-side type thing?
Yeah. So give me a
Roman Reigns maybe?
Yeah.
All right, let's go get Roman Reigns.
Oh, and by the way, I seen a reel in the last couple of days of Too Cold Scorpio. Man, massively underrated and horribly misused. That dude was nice.
Do you see the difference here?
Are these are, well, what's the green and purple? What's with the green and purple?
This is Raw. Let's see if they actually say this. Yeah, I'm going to look for a legend here. It doesn't say. I would like to know what that means, though. Maybe PLE is purple? Because that's Extreme Rules.
Hold on, pause. Seemed like it, yeah.
Crown Jewel. SmackDown. So maybe green's just regular televised.
No, so it sounds like Roman did deserve a break. Like he's held it down for real.
I mean, this is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay, but by comparison, then you could see the break was coming.
Yep.
There starts being pretty significant gaps where he's only showing up at PLEs.
Yeah,
Crown Jewel, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. There's a house show there, but it starts getting fewer and further between.
Right.
I mean, the 2022 year, man, they put him through the ringer.
Yeah. He deserved it.
He probably
and look, we're just looking at the last year before. We're looking at just 2 years. We got to go back to let's see what this looks like in 2022 and 2021 and 2020. Right.
I mean, yeah, here's 2021 as well. Oh my gosh. I gotta literally click next page. Whoa. And 2020 though was kind of a weird year. But it didn't stop him.
No, it didn't.
I mean, there's a dark match. Okay, 2 in 2023. Loser eats dog food.
Good night. Dolph Ziggler, King Corbin, and Robert the Roode. What a way to go.
Right? Loser eats dog food.
And the Usos.
And that's Vince.
Yep, that's Vince right there, thinking certain things that he still thinks would work in the 21st century, like the 90s.
Hey, so hey Dolph, how do you feel about wet or dry food?
Right. So what would you think of Alpo?
Right.
You Alpo kills a bitch guy. And he's laughing like this is really funny. And you know when Vince is saying this, he means it. It's funny for him, but you know, you really about to do this.
Oh, they're gonna love it.
Yeah, they're gonna love it.
Just wait for the pop. I can't even go. I can't do it.
Right.
Oh my gosh, man. You're not gonna make Roman Reigns eat dog food.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh. All right. So by comparison, do you feel any better now about this? If I were to say, name this is what I mean. This is my concern with all of this is if we were to say who's Cody's best opponent, like how does this title run make him a Hall of Famer? Not just that he got it, but like that's the problem I'm having. That's what I'm bringing up is that it's not that he's just the champion or how the duration or length that he's been a champion. It's who he's actually defeated as champion. If I were to list off Kevin Owens, Solo Sikoa, Shinsuke Nakamura, Logan Paul, does that not sound like a mid-card champ?
Wait a minute. You got LA Knight on there, right? Didn't he have LA Knight?
No, I thought that was Sammy's or like
No.
Oh, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Oh, that
that's a
really,
tag.
That
Yeah.
adds some meat and potatoes. Yeah.
Right.
Santos Escobar. Oh my gosh, what am I thinking?
Bro, that's probably a classic match that I
It
can't
could be, but unfortunately, the apple is not falling too far from the tree as from how they book.
Well, unless you're the guy that they want.
They had an I Quit match, of course. Did he say it in English or Spanish?
I don't know how to say it. I gotta look at that up.
Maybe just like a no mas.
I mean, but no mas ain't the same, yo. Deja abandonar salir. All right, you gonna say it. Deja me deo. I quit my job.
That just sounds like a mouthful. No mas, like no, okay, he quit. He's done. He doesn't want any more. Like the dog food with the Alpo.
Yo, deo. Yeah, deja abandonar.
Oh,
deja.
How could we forget Solo Sikoa?
We didn't. We mentioned him.
Carmelo Hayes.
Man, I'm telling you, he's had a classic card. He's had a classic.
So this is something that's going to age better with time, is what you're saying.
It is. Ain't got no choice because I'm throwing it away. No choice. Yeah.
All right. And speaking of, any final thoughts there on? I'm glad we were able to find that match. So now you are validated as well.
Even though the three people that care stopped caring probably the week after they told me I was a liar. That's 26 years ago, but I care now. Now I can go back and tell my 14-year-old self, don't worry. There's proof that it exists. There's a thing called the internet that will. The internet was around then, but I could just tell my younger self, like, listen, the internet will prove you right one day. And you'll never know. Right. You'll never see it coming.
You will be validated.
Right.
Good deal. So with that being said, we will take our final break and then jump into tonight's Raw.
Yep.
And then maybe second to last break, because then name that superstar. And we'll go from there.
All right, for sure. See y'all.
Cleaning the cracks on your pavement surfaces can take hours and be torturous on your body. Until now. Bicracky Weed Removal Tool was designed specifically to clean pavement cracks in a fraction of the time, all while standing up. Bicracky's patented design incorporates a two-sided steel blade and is encased by a durable fiberglass shell. Simply use the large end to clean big gaps, then rotate and use the small tip for narrow gaps. Made in the USA, Bicracky eliminates weeds to the root and is environmentally friendly. Bicracky. Save your back while you clean your crack.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report. Click on more and then shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the shop tab to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
All right. And just like that, we are back. And of course, what was featured for tonight's Raw are the following. Some are matches. Certainly Bret the Hitman Hart returning. We're going to let Gully be able to have his say on that, of course, as it pertains to Drew McIntyre. That's what this was all about. And then, of course, we're going to get the conclusion to the number one contender, Dirty Dom, of course, going against someone of similar ethnicity. Surprise. And then, of course, we'll get a tag team women's match and more. And so just to kind of begin and kick things off, I did want to point out this here, which is it has been announced that at Bad Blood, this will be your championship match. Who you got, Gully?
Saturday, October 5th, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Coincidentally, Aiden's birthday. So
all right.
Oh yeah. 1 year closer.
Hey, you gotta take him to see that, man. Live, close up.
Oh no, no more ideas. Dude, last time, like it's never a mistake, right? It was always great things. But his Vegas trips, I don't know if you saw last year.
Yeah.
It was so there's a place called Sugar Factory for those that are familiar. And it was he wanted the gold ice cream. Okay.
Yeah.
Gold. Like there's gold on this thing. Okay. Only in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know where else on earth I would have ever heard of such a thing. So instead I opted for the $150 tub. It looked like something you would bathe a small child in. When they brought this thing out, like it took a team.
Right. What?
Mind you, it was like 11:30 at night, Eastern time, or probably even past that. And I'm looking down and I'm like, there's two of us. I wasn't even hungry.
Right. So now I done got a job. You have a job to do. Right. You got to sign up for this.
And then, to the surprise of no one, he, 3 spoons worth. Oh, I can't. Well, we can't take it to go. You know what I mean? Like, This is not going to work in a box. Like,
right.
Like, it reminds me, I can't remember, wasn't Cheech and Chong, but in one of the movies, the guy goes, start eating, like.
Yeah, right. Right. Oh, man. Yeah, man. You got yourself one for that one.
Yeah. So needless to say, that was certainly memorable. He, of course, enjoyed himself. He was featured on stage with the Blue Man Group. And that was
that was dope.
That was a real thrill.
Yeah.
Was not expected, certainly. And so, nevertheless, yes, he has fantastic time, but certainly he it's hard to one up those types of things annually.
Sure.
Although, you know what did humble him a little bit was at the time I was going to have him jump off the Strat. So for those that don't know, you can literally, it's not even really bungee jumping. It's more of a free fall. And again, the Strat is, I don't know, it's up there in terms of height.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you had to be at least 14 for that to occur. So he was not eligible. And because he just kept saying, so Cedar Point and these rides, like they're going to be so weak here. And, they did the New York roller coaster. And then I'm like, you know what? I've had enough of this Cedar Point. And I took him to the rides on the Strat. Now, the first one appears to be a roller coaster.
Okay.
At one point in time, thanks to Vegas Vacation, I think I knew they had one there.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. What they have, because I'm panicking, because I'm like, where is he? Right? When it's time to enter this thing.
Right.
He's in the front row. Come to find out, this ride goes and just simply runs and then stops. And you're dangling over the edge.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
And he sat in the front row. And there by default, I had to sit in the front row.
There by default, I had to sit in the front. No, bro.
So while we were waiting to get on this thing, this other one is kind of like spinning really slowly. And I'm like, oh, okay, I like that. It's going to just kind of like, hey, you're over the edge. Ooh, really scary. We get on that thing and, you got kind of the over chest kind of grab, things to hold on to.
Right.
And, well, it turns out the part that I witnessed was when it was ending.
Oh.
So it starts really tight and then it expands and then you're facing downward.
No.
And then it's spinning faster. I don't know, some hooligan on the other, on one of the other parts of the ride is just like screaming, and it feels like out of the scene in Wonka.
Whoa.
In the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at what would be just an obvious doom.
Right. Your mind doing like this.
from it being a hashtag.
Yeah. Right.
However, I look over at him and he too has a level of fear that I've yet to see ever since.
Nah, he experienced the epic level of FAFO.
And
fool around and find out.
If you want to know how terrified he actually was, when the ride was getting to that conclusion part that I had witnessed prior, that's when he started screaming.
Oh,
I'm like, dude, it's over. I'm like, where was that the last 2.5 minutes?
Right. Right.
Like the scream was delayed. Like there was a shot.
Right. He had to catch up. Yeah.
So nevertheless, things to do, places to see, and certainly this would have to require, I talked about taking the chair home. That would probably be where we would have to go with it.
Yeah.
And so one of the first matches was announced that the Passion Fruit Collective was going to take on Zelina Lyra and a mystery teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that mystery teammate was none other than Natalia.
Welcome back.
Again.
Yep.
And they won.
All right.
So kind of interesting there. I wouldn't have said I expected that at all.
Well, why not? It's in Canada.
That's a very good point.
Canada. I'm just kidding. I don't mean it disrespectfully. I'm just playing with the idea of it. But Canada. Because I don't need nobody from the 6 to come after me. Picking fights once.
You've already chosen the side.
Yeah. Because they're not like us.
There you go. Moving right along before we dig it. Speaking of digging holes deeper, we have Dirty Dom, who was victorious, obviously to the disdain of the guy above Liv Morgan's shoulder.
Right. Right.
He was not thrilled. What do you make of Dirty Dom in the L's that continue to come to Dragon Lee?
Oh my gosh, man. Well, hey, listen. They tuning them up. Like, if you're gonna take an L, make it worth something. And I'm still not convinced, man. I'm still not convinced. Like, I don't know why they don't write him off and send him down to OVW, or I'm saying OVW. Send him somewhere, really develop his talent. Because it seems like he wants to be in the business, but he's just not good a wrestler yet. And I'm not saying that he'll never be, but he's getting a lot of screen time to be mediocre. And understand, by comparison, Logan Paul has no affiliation with the business other than his interest and enthusiasm. And look at what he's done as a talent on screen. Look at the matches he's had. Even with the world's champion.
I want to point out what Randy Orton said about Dom on Logan Paul's podcast, that he said Dom can be great.
Yeah, see what he's saying? Listen to his choice of words. Dom can be great. I'm at an age where I don't want to dismiss anything as bad and saying that a person who if I have a critique about it, like they can never be better. But I'm not going to deceive myself and I'm not going to deceive myself or my opinion by saying, oh, it was good when it wasn't. I just don't like, I think he's bad, but I don't think he's going to be bad I don't think he has to be bad forever. I don't think he's trash. I don't think he's, I'm not done. My opinion with him isn't final, isn't set in stone. Like it ain't never going to be that. But the dude got to develop. He getting a lot of screen time for being great. And like I said, I restate it again. Logan Paul has less proximity to the business, to the industry than Dom. And despite the lack of proximity, money make a difference. Look how well he looks. Same for Jake Paul. All right, say what you will about him boxing. They still look like they are working towards becoming good at their craft. I feel like Dom should be better. I feel like Dom can be better, but I know that Dom isn't at this time.
I got mixed feelings on it. I side with both of you guys that I do feel like he has improved. This is someone that I actually would worry about under the new format. Because you take Liv Morgan away, you take the faction away, and what do you have?
Right.
Right. You talk about character development and that type of thing.
Right.
At some point, like, could you put him on an Eddie type of run?
Not now.
That's the part that scares me. Now, I'm not his agent.
Yep.
But that's something you look at, right? He's getting a push now with no, like, what's the end game?
Yeah, no payoff inside.
Right. That's known, at least.
Unless he's helping to develop the women's storyline. And I think he's worth more than that.
Boy, did you just really kind of put him as a valet there?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
You know what? And it works. It actually. Oh man. Oh man. The Wyatt Six.
Oh boy.
We're victorious yet again over American Made. However, I did catch this, and dude, I told you all last week that I was kind of over it. I still am. Like, they got to move on.
Yeah.
Because to me, I actually like. American Made has grown on me. Okay. And that's a little bit of a different angle. I don't know if I'm entirely alone in feeling that way, but if there was one kind of odd takeaway of watching these is that I've gotten that particular faction, if I want to call them that, or at least trio, it has certainly grown on me overall. But I think now that's enough.
Right.
Unless you were to throw them in, I don't know, into something in Bad Blood and then make it the end.
Right. What's the plot to take over the world? That's the key. I mean, I still say it, but it's Chad. And that was a problem. Chad was a heel. So to do this to a heel, who really cares? Because he's been getting this karma. So what do you do beyond that? Take a Sami Zayn and do this.
It's interesting you say that, because we're gonna clean this last one up, kind of the housekeeping of it. Of course, Jade and Bianca Did retain against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Great. Any real surprise there?
Nah. That they don't show signs of fracturing yet.
Now that she's not as green, I don't think they're going. Well,
no, they're going to. It ain't happening yet.
I think that's why they ended up back as champions again. But it just kind of catering to Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, it just kind of like, I'm like, there's nobody else. And what I feared was something you brought up earlier, matter of fact, was that in this condensed programming, we're going to get more triple threats. We know Triple H loves triple threats.
Right.
And that just is even more troublesome. And so, yeah, we'll see what occurs from there. But now we get to the meat and potatoes of the program. And as you see, you got your boy back there, Bret, the Hitman Hart, the Hall of Famer who makes his debut and return to Raw. And while he's talking, Gunther interrupts him and does tell him this, that he will always be a close second to his favorite wrestler, Bill Goldberg.
You said Gunther said this?
That's right.
Yo, I love it. I love it. Because perhaps Bret is kind of easing up on this thing. That he can play with it. He can play or kind of like give a homage, you know what I'm saying? He can kind of play with the idea of Bill Goldberg. You know, Bill Goldberg's in conversation with him, in correlation with him.
Right.
Yeah, so that was cool. But hey, good job from Gunther.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And of course, Sami Zayn interrupted and challenged Gunther once again. But and Gunther declines, but Bret says that Gunther doesn't look like a champion. It looks like a coward.
As only Bret could say. Only Bret can make basic comments, basic swipes, make you want to fight him. Looks like a coward.
Right.
Like, man.
So ultimately, of course, the real reason why Bret was there, as you pointed out, was it was north of the border and he was endorsing Sami Zayn as a competitor.
Oh, okay.
And so what's your kind of takeaways on just the fact that he's here?
The fact that Bret is here?
Yeah, that this is real, that he's in a you see Raw all over the
he's
the
in
arena.
A WWE wrestling ring, given his opinions and his telling of the stories in or around the birth of the Attitude Era. The fact that he's still valuable enough to the company that his presence is a benefit for both Bret Hart and the WWE. That's kind of pretty remarkable and surprising. So I wonder what it took backstage to facilitate this happening, and what it took, and if it took much. I don't know that if it did or didn't, but I'm glad to see it. And like I said, in terms of the mention of Bill Goldberg, the fact that the mention of Bill Goldberg, the fact that it was used within the angle in a way that's pretty cool. I like to see it. That's my guy. And maybe Gunther might have earned some points.
Absolutely. No, without a doubt. later on in Raw, what we had here was, of course, none other than Drew McIntyre saying that he had some bad news in regards to Wade Barrett and
Really?
questioned him why he stepped in for CM Punk, who was announced he will be on next week's Raw.
Yeah.
Drew says if Wade ever does it again, he will be angry and have to make Wade pay. And then, of course, Adam Pearce at that point comes out and then says Drew and Punk will end their feud at Bad Blood in Hell in a Cell. You got anything for that?
Man, if Wade Barrett could suit up one good time.
You know what kind of bothers me? Again, CM Punk ended Nexus.
Yeah.
We know Wade Barrett, like Pat McAfee, returns in January.
Right.
So there's an end date here.
Okay.
Does he? Or does he go back to SmackDown?
Does who what?
Could you see Wade Barrett getting a Macho Man like return?
Yes. Yes. I didn't like him on the mic at first, but it just had to give it some time. Yeah, I see him do that.
Yeah, I could see it also. And then
I'd like to know if Barrett got any more in him in the tank for a match.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping was going to occur there. And maybe this is the first domino to fall in order for that to occur.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But Wade Barrett and Drew McIntyre.
Later on this evening's Raw, we had Rey Mysterio beating Finn Balor by way of he lost because of disqualification. Or no, he beat him by DQ. My bad.
Who won by DQ?
Ray did.
Yeah, okay. What happened to the what happened? Wait a minute. Finn Balor. Well, it's Judgment Day, no one's above the group or what have you. Oh, it was my bad. I was getting confused with Judgment Day Emeritus. Damian Priest saying we need to fight fair. We can fight fair. So I'm looking forward to that. I'd like Finn Balor to come out on top, but I want to see what Damian Priest has as a talent, because Finn Balor can match it. And if you're talking about somebody that can take bumps, Finn Balor can.
I don't disagree with you. And moving on tonight's Raw, we also had Jey Uso, otherwise known as Yeet, becoming the number one contender to go against Braun Breaker for the IC title.
Yeet did it. All right. Well, fantastic.
Absolutely. Now, announced for next week's Raw, Judgment Day versus
the New Day. On Monday. Another day.
And any predictions?
I think Judgment Day retains that title.
All right. And then we're going to take our last break.
Hold on before we go. Wait. Do I think New Day can take them titles? No. I count on Judgment Day to retain those in controversial fashion. Yeah. I'm thinking Judgment Day retains them. You know what? I'm gonna probably post about it in 2 or 3 days. I'm probably gonna change my mind. But I think that, yeah, I think that Judgment Day gonna retain titles. I'd be pleasantly surprised, purely pleasantly surprised if they don't. But that's what I'm going with. Judgment Day over New Day.
All right. And so with that being said, we are going to take our final break and then have Name That Superstar, and then we are out of here. We will see you shortly.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making up my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I'd come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
Cunningham, and you watching the Shop Report. I'm Army Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Nolly, you're watching the Shop Report.
It's Bryce McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Edwards from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report. Hey, this is Howard Johnson. You're watching the Shop Report.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report, click on More, and then Shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the Shop tab to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
All right, we're back, and we have our Name That Superstar.
Oh man, segment. Come on, man. How would you? You got to bring another one, bro.
What is it?
It's too obvious, man. It's Mike Rotunda.
Oh,
it's Mike Rotunda, man. It's Mike. Listen, I recognize him before I knew his boys on the side. Like, it's Mike Rotunda.
All right. Okay. I do have another.
IRS, the Irwin R. Shyster, that clothesline, that flying clothesline seemed basic even for the 90s, but it wasn't. That move is just so, since he flying in the air, that move is so visually appealing. Yeah, Mike Rotunda, man.
All right. Give me another minute and a half to get another image of this individual, and we will be back.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making up my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I had come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
SK Cunningham, and you watching the Shop Report. I'm Army Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars. We're from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report. Hey, this is Howard Johnson. You're watching the Shop Report.
Cleaning the cracks on your pavement surfaces can take hours and be torturous on your body. Until now. Buy Cracky Weed Removal Tool was designed specifically to clean pavement cracks in a fraction of the time, all while standing up. Buy Cracky's patented design incorporates a two-sided steel blade and is encased by a durable fiberglass shell. Simply use the large end to clean big gaps, then rotate and use the small tip for narrow gaps. Made in the USA, Buy Cracky eliminates weeds to the root and is environmentally friendly. Buy Cracky. Save your back while you clean your crack.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making up my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I had come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
All right, without further ado, I'm going to give Gully one final shot because apparently the first one wasn't good enough. And so here we go.
Ooh. All right.
Again, I'm going to switch it there.
No. All right, bring it back. Hold on. Juventud Guerrera.
Oh, my gosh.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh. I told you,
Folks, I promise you, this is off the cuff. Like, that took me 3.5 minutes to try to find someone using some combination of a random generator.
This is what I do. Bring his face back up because he still look young in the face, man.
Dude, ridiculous. So it turns out, so originally I was going to go for La Parca.
Right.
Okay?
Now you would
have been a lot harder because of the mask.
Yes.
And I was intentionally trying to do that. But then I realized he passed away like 4 years ago. So I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, and then I went into pure scramble mode. And then I started going off the World Tour roster.
Right.
And naturally, Juventud Guerrera was there.
Yep.
And dude, of course, was athletic, still is. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't even know how old he is.
Right. I know. I can't tell from his face.
Is he still wrestling?
Let me find out, man. Let me see. Juventud Guerrera. Yeah.
He's 49 years old.
Right. So wait a minute. He's the same age as no, Rey Mysterio is older than that. Rey Mysterio is already 50, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Ooh, that's kind of scary, man.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah.
The cruiserweight legend.
Yeah, he is.
And it may have been underwhelming in terms of overall accolades, but in terms of the WCW presence, was certainly up there. Worth noting, worth watching.
Right.
So again, this is where I struggle with some of the product now, similar to yourself, that what Vince was trying to do when he made that switch from the larger than lives to in the gimmicks to wrestling, and arguably to a fault, right? Because some of these guys are so dynamic that, we brought up a guy like Santos Escobar a little earlier, and then even some of the others that you can be so good that almost you box yourself in. Right. And it sounds weird saying that like you're capable of so much that unfortunately those around you are not. And so we're going to make you a lesser than because we know you're actually capable of performing.
That's what makes.
Dude, is that not a very sad statement to say?
Unless you Eddie Guerrero.
Oh.
Unless you Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero, even more so than Rey Mysterio, defied that. Say, nah, because he wasn't terribly small.
Right.
Eddie, that I could remember. He wasn't terribly small. I mean, he was a smaller guy for sure, but his physique was like, his physique and his presentation, it was such that you can put me in the ring with anybody and it's gonna be a real deal match. It's gonna be a believable match.
That's the thing. If you watch the Dark Side of the Ring on Chris Benoit, and they are very candid about the relationship him and Eddie had.
Yes.
They were gym rats, dude.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't by accident that they developed the physiques that they had. And again, it wasn't completely natural. Again, that's up to everyone and or toxicology reports, whatever. That's not for me.
Right.
And so nevertheless, what I can say to your point is one of them found a way to kind of break through.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about guys like, if you remember Booker T, for example, if it wasn't for Stevie Ray, he doesn't even enter that realm.
Yeah, his brother told him.
Right. And he ends up, look, it's kind of one of those weird things. Like, I never would imagine that there would be, but I never quite understood why he kind of got left behind. And that was somebody I was considering pulling up as well, but I thought it would have been too easy.
Was it Stevie Ray?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like, I think if you got the other in like a half a second, it would have been like a millisecond, like 1/100th.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, simply put, again, these guys are worth kind of keeping their legacies and names alive, and thankfully we're at a stage where they, should have some things that are on, of course, the internet for you to watch at your leisure.
So you can see how truly remarkable they were. You could say ahead of their time, but certainly, if not ahead of their time, certainly groundbreaking. Because what you see in their matches now, what you see in their matches then, you could see now, and you'd still have the same. I think you'd have a similar level of fascination and amusement and entertainment out of a match. You watch a match from the 70s or the 80s, it's much slower. The nostalgia factor probably wins you over more than the actual technicality of a match, unless you're looking at that cruiserweight division and you've seen the aerial, the acrobatics, the dynamic moves, the power, that some of those guys had. Ultimo Dragon, you know what I mean? Eddie, Chris Jericho, combined with their speed, because they were smaller guys, and their ability to move around the ring and to trust one another, through the matches, if we're talking about it behind the curtain. It was the best wrestling we had in that time, though it's set behind the NWO, behind DX, behind Goldberg. I'm serious. I mean, let's be honest. Behind, all right, so you got NWO.
Yep.
That was a movement. DX, that was a movement. I would say
the Four Horsemen.
No. I would say Goldberg. Well, yeah. No. I would say Steve Austin, Austin 316, followed by Goldberg, then the Cruiserweights. I think those are the wrestling in the 90s was those five things.
So that's, dude, I love that you said that. I mean, I've never heard anyone else articulate it in that way, but it was that impactful for me. But again, we talk about a lot of the channel changing and the alliances and the loyalty, or at least the fronts of a loyalty to one brand versus the other. I keep going. That's incredible.
We know, but those five things were what you saw was what carried wrestling programs from week to week. What did the NWO do? What did DX do? And DX as a collective. I mean, you think about it, like Shawn Michaels and Triple H and China before, and Rick Rude before they came to be known as DX, right? Then they become the Generation X. Then they go on a tear. They get their own theme music, and then they start moving as a unit, as an anti-unit, heel good guys like you saw in WCW. But like I said, you still had the entity that was Goldberg that took over wrestling, rivaled with the entity that had just been established with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, I should say Austin 316. I could just put it that way. And The Rock would soon be there, but not before 98, before he started to win things, right? He had an Intercontinental title. He had a feud with Steve Austin, but I said that in that way. That was the order. That was the hierarchy. But after you get down to NWO, in those four, NWO, DX, Austin 316, Goldberg, you had an entire division of some fantastic matches that I find it hard to believe that there were significant segments of the wrestling world that was not entertained by the cruiserweights. I would just find it hard to believe.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. And so I'm going to bring up two things really quickly in closing on my end. I wanted to shout out my guy Matt Forte's book. It is an Amazon bestseller, which is My Hair Can, again for children, of course, but certainly wanted to make sure he got some love from the program, as well as an upcoming book, which is Wrestling with Fatherhood: My Championship Journey to My Greatest Title, Dad, which is, of course, by Titus O'Neil. I mentioned that coincidentally where Aiden practices is at Oakland University. That is where his daughter will be playing basketball. So again, that is yet to be released. That'll be out in a few weeks. But certainly anyone that has had the pleasure of getting that title, it's certainly going to be a very interesting read. And potentially I'm going to try to reach out to him, see if he wants to talk a little bit more about that with us.
Do that, man, because do that, because I think he's got a lot of good stories to tell, I would imagine, and he has an interesting perspective.
Oh, 100%, dude.
He got an interesting perspective of the journey. Is he currently actively involved with WWE? Is he behind the scenes? What is this? To
my understanding, he is behind the scenes, but from what I was last reminded of, is that he was stepping away, but this has a partnership with them. So he may have now, with all of them in college, I think now he may have kind of begin to find his way back. And that's one of those interesting twists and turns of life. And I'm sure something he will allude to, because we've heard this on countless occasions. Actually, that's what led Shawn Michaels to his sobriety. And if for those that are unaware, is that when he woke up upset that he wanted to eat cookies, and his wife told him he already had with his child and he didn't remember it. And at that point, that's what led him. He said, nope, that's it. I'm done.
Wow.
So this, on the other hand, certainly having multiple children. We just went through what Roman Reigns' calendar looked like, right?
Yes.
That's not public appearances outside. That's just wrestling,
right? And that's just wrestling inside the squared circle, right?
So again, definitely go and check both of those out. Gully, I'll turn it over to you. Any final thoughts?
I'm glad to see Brett back. I was interested to see. It's actually surprising to see Brett back, though. Even though it's rather obvious, Calgary, Alberta, they're doing Raw, for him to be back, which means that I think people can understand where he's coming from, and they take it with a grain of salt.
All right, Brian, we got a comment from Byron. Rhea must lose at Bad Blood, has not faced enough adversity. She's better off chasing a championship.
Okay.
She's not ready.
He says Ripley's not ready. Wow. Hold on. Run that back up there. Hold on. Run that back up there again. Must lose at Bad Blood. She's not facing it. All right, Byron. What if she does win, though? What do you think? What do you think could be next for her if she does win?
See, my question to Byron, though, is if you remember how all this feud started, it was her injuring Liv. So Liv was again on the revenge side of this. And of course, Rhea was the champion. So how much more adversity should she have to go through, not only losing the championship, but then losing her boyfriend, at least on screen, as well. So she's now lost two things, and potentially she lost her main faction as well. So they pretty much stripped everything from her. But I'm with you. I do agree. I like the angle.
Mm-hmm. Lose some matches. Oh, he wants Rhea to lose some matches. She hasn't lost any matches.
You know what? I think part of that is the build up for this. And then if she were to lose, I think every bit of what you're saying would be correct, that's what would follow. But in order to make this worthy of a PLE, they don't want her coming in the same kind of way that I've unfortunately condemned some of Cody Rhodes' opponents.
So you think Rhea's winning this?
Me?
Yeah.
Honestly, I hope not. No, I don't want her to.
You think she's winning this?
I'm in fear of her winning it. Yes. My head is saying she's going to win. My heart is saying I hope not.
Like that memes, like the Stitch thing with that woman in the mirror. Say the hard thing. Say it.
Okay.
Say it.
I think Rhea's winning.
Oh, Byron, we gotta talk him down. Byron. Yeah.
Who do you got? Wait a minute. You're not going to dodge it. You know, I had that up earlier and you never even picked. So thank you, Byron, for that.
Yeah,
actually.
I think Liv retains title. I think what happens is I think that Damian Priest is going to get involved, and in him, getting some comeuppance, if you will, getting the shot in over Dom in the fracas, if you will, Liv still retains the title, which is what I hope.
If that turns out to be the case, I am all for it. And anything in closing from you outside of that?
Nah, just looking forward to next week, and the build up to next PLE, for WWE in particular, and then also want to dive more into. I've been seeing some reels or memes. I've been seeing things in the socials that suggesting that AEW is in a more fragile state than advertised. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know to believe it or not, but
you're finally seeing it. The algorithm has finally caught up to you with what it's been telling me for a while.
Yeah, that's what's been happening, and I'd like to discuss that in more detail. Of course, I want to catch some more content as well.
Absolutely. So again, for those, by all means, I know there's a few of you still watching on X. I know we're getting into the midnight hour, so we will be returning talking sports on Saturday. But certainly be on the lookout for more clips and reels, and definitely share your thoughts with us. We do see them. We do comment back, and certainly hit that subscribe button. And we will be seeing you guys in just a few short days.
On Saturday.
That's right. And next time, if you really want to know what's going on, come to the shop.
Walk-ins are always welcome.
Holla.
Holla.